Thierry Henry, a legend himself, once said, "My toughest opponent? Scholes of Manchester. He is a complete midfielder." So, if United threw a fancy dinner, you already know Scholes got a seat close to the top of the table. It makes total sense though. This man spent his whole career putting in work at Old Trafford, aka the Theater of Dreams. He wasn't flashy, but the way he controlled the ball, the way he battled without it, well, that's what made fans fall in love with him. By the time he called it quits, that little redhead with asthma, he became one of the most decorated players to ever do it. But before he owned the Theater of Dreams, his story started in a place far less glamorous. Now, before we jump into the story of one of football's most underrated legends, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Scholes was born November 17, 1974, at Hope Hospital in Salford, right in Greater Manchester. And get this, he didn't even come from a football-crazy family. His parents, Stuart and Marina, were of Irish heritage but weren't big into the game like that. Still, when he was around 18 months old, they moved to Langley, and that's where his story really kicked off. He went to St. Mary's R.C. Primary School, and that's where football started to take hold of him. By the time he was 4, he was already kicking a ball around with his Uncle Patrick out in Middleton. Uncle Pat was a huge United fan, and since the two of them were tight, Paul was locked in on that red and white life early on. Funny thing, he could have been a star cricketer too. The kid had skills, but it was football that had his heart. He never thought twice about it. No plan B. It was just football or nothing. After finishing at St. Mary's, he moved on to Cardinal Langley High School in Middleton, and that's where things really picked up. He even played for the Great Britain national schools team and his first ever club, Langley Furrow. But here's what makes his journey even more impressive. He had asthma his whole life. Bad too. Winters were tough. His chest would tighten up, sometimes so bad he had to miss weeks of training. He managed it with medication and an inhaler, even had to use it before some games or at halftime when it got rough. But he pushed through all that. Nothing stopped him. Eventually, someone saw the magic in his game. A scout clocked what he could do and brought him into the Manchester United Academy. Now, he didn't start out like most of the others. While a lot of the young boys at Manchester United were already getting their boots dirty at 11 or 12, Paul Scholes showed up a bit later at 14 years old. That might sound late in football years, but it didn't take long for him to make up for it. He wasn't the biggest, he wasn't the fastest, but he was clever with the ball. Sharp, always a step ahead. And that's how he earned the nickname Ginger Ninja. Smooth with the touch, deadly with the strike. He missed being a part of the FA Youth Cup winning squad in 92-93, but the next year, he helped take the team all the way to the final. They didn't win, but by then, people already knew what he was about. In July of 93, Scholes signed his first professional contract. He was rocking the number 24 jersey back then, not quite breaking into the first team just yet. But that would change. Fast forward to September 21st, 1994. League Cup, Port Vale away. Scholes steps onto the pitch, scores twice. Just like that, people took notice. That same season, he got his first Premier League minutes against Ipswich Town and even grabbed a late goal. Then 1995 hit, and things started to shift. Mark Hughes left for Chelsea, opening up a spot. With Cantona suspended, Scholes stepped in behind Andy Cole, playing a more attacking role. And he made it count. 14 goals that season. United even flirted with the idea of swapping him for Alan Shearer in 96. Blackburn wanted Scholes to return. United thought about it. Imagine that. But the deal fell through and Scholes stayed where he belonged. That season, he got his hands on the Premier League trophy again. He also switched shirt numbers from 24 to the now iconic 18, the number he wore for the next 15 years. But it wasn't until 1997, when Roy Keane tore up his knee, that Scholes found his forever spot in midfield. That same year, he made his England debut, fittingly at Old Trafford, in a friendly against South Africa. England won 2-1, and Scholes had officially gone international. Then came the 1998 World Cup. England got knocked out by Argentina on penalties, but Scholes had his moment, a goal in the group stage against Tunisia. But in 1999, that was Scholes' year, no question about it. That's when Manchester United did the unthinkable and clinched the treble. Premier League, FA Cup, and Champions League, all in one unforgettable season. And Scholes, well, he wasn't just a passenger. He was right in the thick of it. He slammed one home in the Champions League quarterfinal against Inter, found the back of the net again in the FA Cup final against Newcastle, and just to spice things up, he smashed his first hat trick for England that March against Poland. Everything was clicking, but then came the gut punch, the Champions League semifinal. He'd picked up a yellow in the quarter, so one more meant he'd miss the final. Sir Alex, playing it smart, started Nicky Butt instead. But late in the game, Scholes came on, and what happened? Yeah, another yellow. That meant no final for him. United still pulled off one of the wildest comebacks in football history, scoring twice in stoppage time to win 2-1. Legendary stuff, even if Scholes had to watch it from the sidelines. Fast forward to March 2000, and Scholes pulled off one of the coldest goals of his career. Like, who hits volleys like that? The next season, United brought in Veron, and Sir Alex had to tweak things to make it work. He shifted to a 4-4-1-1, with Scholes playing just behind Van Nistelrooy. But when it came to European away games, the setup flipped. Scholes dropped into midfield beside Keane, while Veron moved up with Van Nistelrooy. It was all about control, tempo, and smart passing, and Scholes delivered. Then came the 2002-2003 season, and Scholes went ballistic. He scored 20 goals across all competitions, his best ever. The next season, he kept the momentum, grabbing 14 more goals, including 4 in the FA Cup, more than he'd ever scored in that tournament before. One of those FA Cup moments came in 2004, when he scored the winner in the semi-final against Arsenal. That goal punched United's ticket to the final, where they steamrolled Millwall 3-0. That was his last FA Cup trophy, and a perfect way to cap that chapter. By August 2004, Scholes made a big call. He hung up his England boots. He wanted to go all in for United and be there more for his family. Even when managers came knocking later, hoping for a comeback, he stood firm. For Scholes, it was always club and family first. Then came 2006, and it hit hard. Out of the blue, his vision started going blurry. No one had a clue what was up, and yeah, there was real concern. Was this it for him? But in true Scholes fashion, he didn't back down. He fought through the treatments, kept putting in the work, and sure enough, he made it back, stepping onto the pitch for the final game of the season against Charlton. Now let's talk about a goal that lives rent-free in every United fan's head. The 2008 Champions League semi-final against Barcelona. United came out blazing, putting Barca on their heels. Ronaldo tried to tear through the defense, lost the ball, and then the clearance landed right at Scholes' feet, about 25 yards out. He took 3 silky touches and let rip with a thunderbolt that curled into the top corner. That goal sent United to the final, and it was pure magic. As the years went on, Scholes started playing deeper, more like a regista, the kind of guy who just sits back, reads the game like a book, and controls everything with his passing. He wasn't the quickest anymore, and if a team had fast midfielders, they could give him a little trouble. But his first touch, untouchable. His ball control, next level. He always found a way out and always kept the tempo just right. Even though he wasn't bombing into the box like before, he still had that long-range missile launcher of a right foot. He started scoring more from outside the box, and that helped him rack up over 150 goals in his career. Now, here's where the story takes a wild turn. At the end of the 2010-2011 season, Scholes hangs up his boots, calls it a career, and joins the coaching staff. United had just clinched another Premier League title, so it felt like the perfect send-off. Storybook ending, right? But then, plot twist. Just 6 months later, it's January 2012, and United's midfield is in shambles. What does Sir Alex do? He picks up the phone, and Scholes picks up. And just like that, he's back. Signs a 1-year deal, plays through the 2012-2013 season, and then calls it quits. For real this time. And to think, if he'd ended up at Blackburn in that Shearer deal way back when, well, everything could have changed. But he stayed, and thank God he did. Football just wouldn't be the same without the Ginger Magician. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more content like this.